Hello, listeners. Well, this is embarrassing. It's our introduction episode, and there's already some problems. It looks like one of our hosts' mics were not, unfortunately, turned on properly, so it seems that he is instead speaking into all the other mics. That's why he's getting picked up so badly. So, tried boosting his levels as much as possible. Unfortunately, there's only so much you can do with free software. So, please bear with us for this unfortunate setback for this particular episode. I promise you that it won't happen again for at least another 6 months. Well, that's what happens when you take a almost year break from podcasting. Well, hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome in, everyone, to our inaugural, episode of the Vintage Anime Club podcast, a podcast where we're basically going to go over some of the, older anime titles, and the main issue that we want to know is, do they still hold up today or not? Because there's some shit out there.
There was some shit in the past, too.
Yeah,
I've seen shit, man.
Stuff happens. But yeah. Because, there's a lot of anime that is being re-released and rescued, stuff that's been out of print coming back in, and while that's all well and good, all of those titles need to be rescued.
Some should be left to...
Some should be left, you never know.
Forgotten in the past.
Yeah.
Christ.
So we just want to go over stuff we have in our collections, because we're all kind of like old hat here, we all remember some of the past anime companies that have folded, whatnot, and we all have kind of extensive, looking at you, co-host over there, extensive, huge collections to peruse, and, sometimes it's been a while since we've visited some of those things, too.
To bring back some gems from the archives, back some
I like
duds,
how all of
too.
you seem to think that I don't just, rework through all of my collection every time I have to sit down for a long enough amount of time. And I'm just like, oh, man, you know what I haven't watched recently? Devil Hunter Yoko Forever.
So this episode is going to be a little introduction. I would say brief, but
We're not brief.
We're not brief. And Vintage Anime Podcast is all about drinking the wine while we're recording as well.
Cheers.
So, cheers to everyone
Cheers.
who's out there listening and out there and remotely. So, my name is Dennis. I have hosted a podcast previously before. I have also been a guest on a few other podcasts as well, like the Unofficial One Piece podcast, the Ass Backwards Anime podcast, along with what's Jammer's podcast? Animanga podcast. There we go. We have many a co-host here today. And first co-host is Ed.
Hello.
Ed, how you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
All right. Have you done podcasting before?
I'm probably the most novice at this table, I would say.
I know we had you one time on our old cosplay podcast talk about the Kenshin movie.
Right.
So now that you're not being remotely talking in, you get to actually be in mass in view of all this fabulous
you get
equipment.
all the snacks and drinks and everything.
And very impressive.
Yeah, get ready. It's going to be like an hour. We can't eat anything.
But we can keep drinking.
Yes, you can keep drinking.
drinking.
You can't keep drinking.
Enjoy listening to me talk a lot.
Thanks for coming on, Ed. Next, we have Kate.
Hey, it's good to be back.
Do you? Does it feel good to podcast again, or you're like, oh yeah, doing this shit all over again? Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit of, oh man, I feel kind of rusty at this. I mean, having some liquid courage, right next to me here.
Yes, you can. Hopefully, when no one's talking, you can actually make a pouring sound effect.
Yeah, well,
we have the best Foley, you guys.
Let's
seriously.
see, if I pour right in front of the microphone.
Oh.
Yeah. Ooh, that sounds great.
Definitely didn't sound like we were peeing.
Well, moving on.
Moving on to that. Our other co-host is Diana.
Hi, guys.
Diana, how does it feel to be podcasting again?
I love the sound of my own voice, and I love talking about things that I know a lot about. So this is going to work out really well for no one but me. So thank you for letting me out of my whalebone cage.
Granted, we're not talking about cosplay again, though. You
I'm
know
sure
that
we will.
eventually we will come back to talking about cosplay for sure.
Well, we'll limit it to, oh yeah, I definitely made blah 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 thing while rewatching this for the 17th time. Oh man, I haven't gone through my yearly Escaflowne binge watch. What are we gonna sequin tonight? Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And finally, one of our other co-hosts we have to have in remotely because she's unfortunately not feeling well. Eve.
Hi.
Yay.
Eve, how you doing?
I'm okay. I mean, I'm holding it down, but it's not like full blown.
That's right. You've squashed that ailment that you have right now.
Yeah, it's being
Koyasu.
it's being kept on the low.
All right, that's good. That's
Wow.
good. Are you looking forward to trying to podcast some more again? Or is it like, no, this shit, why?
Oh no, I'm still not trying to get used to it, so this should be even more fun.
You know, put that snowball microphone that you recently acquired to work now. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. So for this episode, since it's our intro one, I'm not even calling this episode one, we're going to be talking about like how we all got into anime. I didn't pick an order or anything, so we can figure out what's going to happen. How we got into anime, along with what's kept you in the fandom for so long, unless you took a break for some reason. Some people have.
I don't think any of us have, though.
Yeah, I don't think anyone here has. People have gotten close, but yeah. Let's go reverse order. Eve, how did you start getting into anime?
Oh, I've always kind of been in animation, regardless. Like with the Disney movies, Ninja Turtles, and some of those kids' education shows, like Magical School Bus, when I was growing up.
Oh, Magic School Bus.
And so I went to a daycare during elementary school. So in the mornings they would show either like Sailor Moon or Road and Warriors. So that was my first introduction. And then after that, that's the only thing I had access to. And while Power Rangers was distracting, then Toonami finally came around when I was in high school. So from there, I just ended up renting whatever I could from video rental stores.
That would be a fairly popular answer, Toonami. I have a feeling we might hear that a couple more times.
Yeah. With our generation, yes.
Yeah. So
With your generation. I watched Sailor Moon in elementary school.
So since you've been watching that for that long, like Eve, like what's kept you in the game for watching anime? Was it just like continuous good stuff, ease of access, friends? How did it like cement to become anime's life, so to speak? Hobbies, you know.
Well, I think I was kind of like in between, not too hard into it before Toonami came, but then it just like kind of clenched me in. Diana's gonna make fun of me.
Yes, I am.
but Gundam Wing really.
I was about to say, you garbage pile. You're gonna invoke the Gundam Wing, aren't you? Like Toonami came on, and I liked Gundam Wing. It was so weird.
That might be a popular answer too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I never said it was the best, but I still enjoy it. But I'm always into models. Like I had train models, and I did like military helicopter models with my dad. So that helped. And usually, with Gundam, it is pretty plot heavy, but also its base model is cell models.
Yeah.
That's true.
Sure.
Toys.
And then I met friends through that, and through high school, we just bounced off each other. And this was before any of us would really able to use the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So it was mostly through Suncoast and Blockbuster. But what kept me going is, I started really getting into certain art styles, production companies, as well as voice actors. So that kept me going for a while.
Ah, nice. Okay. And it's been with you ever since.
Yeah, I'm trying to be more into the plot heavy stuff, but once in a while I'll enjoy some like trashy stuff.
Once in a while.
If you can list 3 of your favorite animes you have watched, and from when you started to now, what would they be?
That's hard. Okay,
Right?
Just 3. They're not going
everyone's like, oh,
They
shit,
don't
now I
have to
gotta
be.
think about this.
They don't have to be your top 3. But if like 3, some of 3 of your favorites, they can be hot anime garbage too. It's fine.
Top 3 that
Well-
pop into your head right now.
Yeah.
I think I'll go with Nazca, Generator Gall, and Prince of Tennis.
A good
have a lot of good
a
memories
very
with
good
it.
one, and garbage.
And is there anything you're watching right now?
I didn't get a chance to watch it before, but I'm catching up to Ori no Seraph, and I just finished Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Nice. Very nice. We'll go to our next co-host, Dana.
Sorry.
Dana, how did you get into watching anime? We heard elementary school way back then.
Well,
3 years ago.
I was in middle school.
3 years ago.
When I was in middle school, last week, which is really funny because where we're recording is actually very close to my middle school and where I used to work, the anime store that I used to work at for a billion years.
R.I.P. Anime Store.
Yeah, I worked at the anime store. So one of the first times I really realized what anime was, we had a movie club. We had an MST3K club in my middle school, and in 9th grade we had someone bring in Akira because they thought that was a great fucking idea.
In middle school?
In middle
Holy
school.
shit.
It was because basically what happened was MST3K club became not about like the comedic aspect and more about just like watching movies. And it became sort of a film appreciation club instead.
Oh.
And so one of the guys was like, I have this animation, and my very sweet, very naive teacher was like, cool, and we made a huge mistake. We made a huge mistake.
No, teacher.
Oh, yeah, no, she was like when, Kotori gets her shirt ripped open. She's like, nope, those are titties. We gotta put this off now. Oh, God, I'm gonna lose my job. And, yeah. And
Not like it was Demon City Shinjuku.
Oh, God.
Okay, but listen. Oh, God. Yeah, I was actually one of the people who pushed really hard in my school. When I was in high school, we actually screened Battle Royale.
Oh, wow.
And got permission slips from every kid in our anime club to watch it.
Wow.
Everybody had permission. They all knew what we were going to watch. We sent home like a letter to the parents and got permission slips for Battle Royale. We didn't actually tell the principal. The permission slips were all to protect our teacher, though.
Nice.
She was super awesome. But yeah, so I saw it then, and I was like, "This is ridiculous," and like it was mildly offensive to me, like when I first saw it, to think that something that we all had grown up with being so safe, like animation was safe.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that everybody. I felt like if you didn't like animation, if you didn't like Looney Tunes, if you didn't like Disney, there was something wrong with you as a human.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or that you just were, that you were garbage, basically. If you didn't like animation, something was wrong.
They were very universal and well loved.
Exactly.
It's generational, too.
And I was like...
Cross-generational.
I was just really confused as to how something could be so serious and so scary and have so many things going on. Like, animation had always been something that was easily digestible, and Akira is really one of those movies that's not.
Ooh, no.
And, yeah. So, and it actually took me a while to go back and rewatch it and, like, be comfortable with it, but then I started watching Sailor Moon, because it was on TV, they were doing a marathon, and in 2 days I was able to watch the key episodes for the first season.
Nice.
And, I mean, before that, I'd, like, seen Sailor Moon toys being advertised on television and everything and was like, what is this garbage? Oh, I hated it so much to begin with because the toys are, like, the American release for the Sailor Moon toys are so unbelievably ugly that they're actually offensive. And like they go right around. They go from they don't even have they have nothing about them at all that's even
no redeeming value.
No redeeming value. Like they kind of have the hair. It sort of is the same color as the characters. Like at one point they re-released the dolls and they had all of them had the same shoes. And I was like, no, there are 2 characters that have the same shoes. That's it. 3 technically if you count Pluto. Oh my god, it was bad.
So you could tell that.
And then I watched. But here's the thing: I started watching it, and I loved it so much that I got every single one of those toys for Christmas that year. Every single one, except the large ones. They had like mid-sized ones, and then like really big ones. And I got the mid-sized ones because I was like, those big ones are just too ugly. they were too much.
I was gonna say like the
Is that like the my-sized Barbie?
No, they were like the 12-inch dolls.
Oh, okay.
Instead of like the little 6 or 7-inch ones.
Okay.
And they were just, oh god, they were so fucking gross.
You think it's funny the attention to detail you had back then has shown up.
Yeah, it's no wonder you became a cosplayer.
Yes, it's great though because there are people who are like, it's good enough.
I would,
cost cutting measures. That's all that happened.
I enjoyed some of the aspects of like they did ribbing for the Fukus.
Nice.
We're not going to talk about these dolls. That's it. That would be way too intense. Yeah. So moving on, I really got into anime in middle school, and
what's kept you in it? Like just access of watching. I know you talked about working in an anime store.
I worked in an anime store, so I got to watch a lot more than I think a lot of people did, and at the time, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now it's a lot more accessible, but there's just I also got into anime at a time when I feel like the stuff that everybody considers like the really, really awesome anime of our time particularly started coming out.
Yeah.
So like I know now people are like, oh man, I loved Gurren Lagann so much. It was like it really shaped me, and I'm like, shut up, plebe. Like, let me tell you about Evangelion and Escaflowne, because those came out when I was in high school, and I watched them because I worked at the anime store. And, I mean, I remember when Evangelion came out, 2 episodes of tape from 80 Vision, and how big a deal it was that, like, not only did they come out, and they came out on tape, and there were 2 episodes of tape, but they had them in equivalent style boxes on sub and dub, so we actually had to read the side of the tape. They weren't in the clamshells.
I remember renting those tapes.
Yeah.
The video store had a mix of sub and dubs who it was like, oh, this volume was subbed, the next one is dubbed. That's what you get.
Enjoy! Because you really totally needed to hear that. Yeah. I remember like watching things come out and like reading New Type magazine, and which was it still is like a Japanese anime magazine, and they do a lot of spreads for the stuff that's coming up or things that are continuing, or something that's gotten popular. So they do like a big spread and learning about what was up and coming and what new releases were coming out, and you sort of start to pick up like the staff. Basically, like Eve was saying, where you have certain directors or certain like studios that you work with. So like Evangelion was all done by Gainax initially, and then Escaflowne is done by Sunrise, and Sunrise does like Gundam, and they did Cowboy Bebop and stuff. But Gainax did some of my other favorites like Gunbuster and Furikuri and stuff like that. So they also did a lot of in-betweening for Sailor Moon. Like when Sailor Moon was fucking up their budget, they came in and saved all their animation.
Nice.
So it was really interesting learning about that, because I'm very weird and nitpicky in that way. And that was something that, because I worked in the anime store and because I had to be behind the counter and be there so long, I was able to really like pick up and read about, and I got a lot of art books. I was really into just like the how things happened. So yeah,
I think it helps too that around that time period, I want to say that stuff that got released was, you could generally consider above average. Like some were good, some were great, some were fantastic, and remains classics to this day.
The amount of stuff that was coming to America is much less than what there is these days. So we tended to get the cream of the crop from Japan back in those days.
Yeah.
We also had a lot of studios that were willing to take more risk because they had more money at the time.
Yeah.
And now, we have a lot of studios that play it safe. And if they, like, you know, Madoka Magica, for example, is a combination of playing it safe and taking a risk. They're taking a risk with the author and the content and the story. But they're playing it safe with the designer of the characters. So, like, they're very petite. They're very sweet. They're, you know, in high school, or, like, first part of high school.
Yeah, which is completely common to anime. It's like every anime protagonist is 15 years old. Unless they're 16.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, that's where your senpai comes in. But, you know, they're very cute. They're very like moe, you know? And then you get the kind of themes that you would see in like Evangelion and Gundam.
Yeah.
You get these really intense themes of like parental abuse or death or crazy, or, you know, there's all this stuff going on in it that sometimes makes it really hard for people to swallow because they expect it to be cutesy.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the same time, it sold well. It made a lot of money. It still makes money. And it does that, I think, because of how cute the characters are and because people can detach the story from the cuteness of the character.
Nice.
Whereas I think there's also a lot of garbage out there.
Yeah, it's like everything.
Oh my god.
You think everything.
Well, now we're so much closer to the source. Like, we're not just getting what companies have decided to license to bring here. Like, there's a lot more, like, oh, we're seeing all of it, including the bad stuff.
And we're also in a situation where, like I said, again, Japan gets their funding from different sources. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Warner Brothers paid for the Kenshin movie, for the most part. Mm-hmm. And we had a lot of stuff where Genion, which was a company that used to be Pioneer, was paying for stuff like Tensho Tenge was a really big endeavor, and they paid for most of it, and then it didn't do well after. And so, I mean, there's a lot of stuff where like a company won't finance something unless they know for sure it's going to make money.
Yeah.
And the only way they know for sure that it's going to make money is if they hit those.
Yeah, like those checkboxes.
Those checkboxes, like, is it short? Does it have big breasts? Does it have small breasts? Is it a loli? Is it got a big brother complex? How, you know, how
is it
big
good action?
Yeah, it's like it's not even if it's action. It's like, you know that there's going to be enough people who are going to watch a Gundam show. Unless it's Turn A. Which was great.
Oh, I think you mean X because that one got canceled.
Oh, that one was really bad too. That had great music though. God, the music in that was so good. How did it not? Okay.
Back on topic.
Sorry. But yeah, I mean, I feel like anime didn't used to be as safe as it is now.
Yeah, I agree.
And which is why when you have something that really does kind of buck the tradition, like, you know, Nozaki could have been completely different than it was. It could have been like a school romance type thing, and instead it's literally a comedy show. It's a really funny comedy show, and I don't feel like any of the characters, with the exception of the main character, who's just, you know, petite. I don't think anybody really has that check boxes of like, is this one gonna sell products of a girl on a pillow?
Oh, I hate those products. All right. So that's okay. So, in continuing with what I just asked Eve, name 3 anime off the top of your head that you greatly appreciate.
Macross Plus, Gunbuster, and Escafone.
Nice. And is there anything that you're currently watching or just recently finished?
I am savoring every moment of Erased.
Nice.
Erased is really good. I really liked it, and I've been watching. They've been doing these really great little short animes, like little burst animes. I really enjoyed I Don't Understand What My Husband Is Saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was great. And then I've been watching, they also have a live-action drama for this as well, which is not, in my opinion, is really good, but not as charming as the little tiny anime called Wakakozake, which is a story about, or it's like a yonkoma about a woman who, you know, she'll be walking home from work and she takes a different path every time to try to find food and alcohol. And I was like,
it's a story about our friendship.
So Diana made me watch a couple episodes, and it was like half travel show, half cooking show, because she goes to all these like restaurants and bars and, you know, samples what kind of interesting food and drink options they have, and she does like a little pairing, and then at the end of the show they talk about where they went and what kind of specialty items they have.
That's for the drama.
Oh, okay, because they go to real shops.
Yeah, they go to real places for the drama. For the anime, she's just like, it'll be like she walks into a store and she sits down and she orders like a crispy fried something or other and it has a skin on it. I don't know. It's a fish. I can't eat it, so I don't know. And another dude like walks in and he sees her and he thinks she's cute. He sits down next to her. He's like, oh, I'd like the same thing. And so she's drinking her sake and she's eating her stuff. And then she's like, the guy looks kind of interested. He's like, I really like that stuff that you're eating. And she's like, yeah, it's pretty good. She's like, and then he goes, I'd probably eat it on some rice, you know? Ha ha ha, that's so Japanese of me. And her face just goes stone cold. And I imagine it's the kind of reaction I'd have if somebody was like, oh man, you like Gundam? Oh, I love Gundam. Oh man, you know? Gundam garbage pile is my favorite. I think Universal Century is kind of dumb. That's so Japanese of me. And then I would have to, you know, kill you with my eyes.
It's like, oh, you have your red wine chilled.
Exactly. Oh, God.
You'll do that to anyone who likes anything that's not UC.
That's very true.
Yeah, you're very elitist.
I do like Turn 8. I do like Turn 8 Gundam. Universally the most disliked. I thought it was great.
At least you try to give other Gundams a chance too. All right.
Not all of them.
No, try.
Yeah.
Actually, no. It would be like if somebody was like, I really love Gundam. G Gundam is my favorite Gundam. I would eject them from
great
the planet.
Well, it's really
Gundam
funny.
garbage.
Is that what the G stands for?
That is exactly what it stands for.
So we're watching that first, right?
Yeah.
I won't show up for that.
We'll probably end up watching it sometime down the road.
If we watch it, you guys are going to have to get me really drunk, and you're going to hear exactly how I feel about it at all times.
That'll be a fun time.
That might actually
Well, we'll just
be
like
worth
turn
it.
off your mic on occasion when we want to get a word in edgewise.
I'll make sure to give Deanna the mic with the on-off switch.
It'll be the toy mic. It's going to be like a cut mic. It's going to be one from Rock Band, but the cord's been cut off.
No, it'll be a USB mic that's not plugged in since my mixer is not
Yeah.
for USBs.
But you could kind of hear her in the background.
Yeah.
So
Just like swearing up a storm the whole time.
Cheetos! Right next to you. Where's Mountain Dew? Can I get in the robot? Yes, get in the robot. Just
where are the Charzaks? I want to do them.
someone tell me where all the new types are. 'Cause I want to do them. Yeah, that's exactly what that's going to be.
Thank you for sharing, Diana.
Yeah, thanks for. I'm sorry.
Don't be. Kate. All right, so how did you get started into this thing
Oh,
we call
man.
anime?
Don't make us look bad.
Well, I got started so much later in life. I didn't get into anime until college. Like, I had seen anime before. Like, I remember, like, seeing the Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball on TV, but it never really caught my interest because I don't know. I found the plots pretty thin. Like, the Monster of the Week type shows didn't really appeal to me. And I had seen, like, a couple random things when I was a kid because there was this cool, really comprehensive video store near where my dad lived. So we would, like, rent some animated movies on occasion, and sometimes they were anime.
Oh,
and
yeah?
then later on, I tried to go back and figure out what the heck we had been watching. So one of them was Dominion Tank Police.
Whoa.
I would
Whoa.
probably like to
So
watch it
good.
again.
Oh, I
'cause,
have it.
Oh, okay,
Nice.
yeah. It'd be cool to
I
go
have
back and see it now.
collection.
Because I don't
I've
think I watched it since when I
Never
was a
seen
kid.
it, so that'll be fun to,
Yeah.
fun to
The
visit.
Puma sisters are so good.
So anyway, in college, like Toonami started up, and I started watching that, and that was really my exposure to anime that had a deeper plot. And yes, it includes Gundam Wing
Oh yeah.
I love you.
because
And
you know
that.
they didn't put like original Gundam on Toonami; they put Gundam Wing on Toonami.
It took a
they
long-
couldn't put original
yeah.
Gundam on Toonami. It's such like Gundam Wing is an accessible show.
Yeah,
that
no, it's totally
I
accessible.
understand that people.
And I was just like, oh my god, there's a plot, there's an ongoing plot that I have to pay attention to. Wow, this shit is deep.
And eyebrows.
I
Yeah.
had a really
Lots of
big
eyebrows.
problem with, and now they're clowns. They live in clowns.
Yeah, no, there was definitely some sketchy stuff where I'm like, what? His like
And it-
secret identity is pretty stupid.
God, it's
Yeah, there's a lot of stupid
Gundam
crap with
political
that.
intrigue.
Yeah.
Like Relena Peacecraft. I was out at that name.
Yeah,
I was like, between your eyebrows and your name, you've got issues.
no, there's
Well, and
someone
then
who
that
shows up later
fork
with even
eyebrows.
crazier eyebrows.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
Yeah. So
Everybody's
yeah,
got
I
eyebrows.
saw that. Like they had Cowboy Bebop on Toonami, and I really loved that. Like
Yeah.
I've went to Suncoast Video and bought the DVDs one at a time at $30 a pop. And then, and we had a cool video store. And so I had friends who would be like, oh, yeah, let's go rent some anime. So I watched Evangelion that way. And then that was right when like Napster and all that LimeWire and stuff was getting started up. And I was on a college campus. So, of course, I was downloading everything ever.
T1.
Yeah. So it was like real media files of Evangelion and whatnot. So I watched a decent amount of stuff that way. And then after college, I just kind of kept up with it because I went to my first anime con, and that was AX, like way back when. I think because I liked anime and because I kept going to cons, I met a lot of my current friends that way. Because coming out of college, like, I kept in touch with a few people who I was really close to, but I didn't have a very large group of friends. And then going to cons and meeting other people that way, like people who had similar interests, like that. And I was still into anime. Like, for a long time, I thought, well, this is a fad. Like, this is something that I'll get over. Like, you come into like little obsessions from time to time where you're just like, oh, I want to watch all of these movies, like everything directed by this guy or whatever. And then you move on past that. And I thought that would happen with anime, and it really hasn't. And I think it's because anime is not really just a genre. It's a method of storytelling that can have many different types of genres within it. So it can stay interesting.
And it branches out, too.
Yeah, it gets into really... Yeah, like there's a lot of stuff that I think can be told as anime that it would be hard to tell in live action. And...
But sometimes they try.
Yeah. Sometimes live action adaptations are like, wow, I really see the limitations of the
hair.
Yeah. That wasn't what I was thinking of. I was trying to think of a way to say like, wow, a lot of Japanese people, maybe they can sing and dance real well, but they're not so good with the subtle acting. And maybe that's a problem with the script writing too. And somehow in anime it's more passable because you're just hearing the voices and you're seeing like other people animate the characters, but in live action it's just like, whoa, tone it back there.
And directing as well, I think, is a lot of it.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of really great Japanese movies. Like part of the reason why I became interested in studying Japanese was because of anime and manga, but it was also because of Japanese films.
Nice.
So there are some really good ones. Like Battle Royale I really liked, but that Battle Royale was also really overacted.
Oh, God.
It's really over the top.
Unless you were Beat Takeshi, in which case you were on Quaaludes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, that's his method for every movie. It's just like, pretend like you can't move your face.
I'm pretty sure he also had a stroke.
Okay, so he really can't move his face.
I don't think so.
No, you want a very strange Beat Takeshi movie. Watch Taboo.
No, watch that.
I haven't seen it, so
He plays Hijikata, but Hijikata is historically a good-looking man.
Oh, wow.
She's basically like, here, watch the one where we talk about the gay boy love in the, what is it, in the Bakumatsu.
Yeah.
It's seriously, it's like Bakumatsu, gay boy love. That's why it's called Taboo.
Yeah. No, I remember
Eve,
like
you would like that movie.
No,
explanation.
It's real though. It's real. It's real though, and I think that one kid is in Battle Royale too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of people in Battle Royale who ended up like being like having bigger careers afterwards, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember you, and you were like playing a high schooler.
You went on to become Light Yagami, and then you graduated to become Shishio Makoto. Oh, God.
And he still couldn't learn how to act.
He was great as Shishio, though. Shishio was wonderful.
Yeah, Shishio's meant to be over the top.
Oh,
like you can't wear like a purple snakeskin kimono and not like, you have to own that.
Oh my God, that that kimono is so good.
Before we get on to another fashion tangent.
Yeah.
So top three, or not top three,
man.
name three off the top of your head.
Like
rather.
really meaningful anime to me.
Yeah.
Like definitely Cowboy Bebop. I don't know if I should say Gundam Wing because it was like my introduction into anime, or if I should say something that really affected me more.
You're loud.
I don't know.
Maybe Outlaw Star.
No. Sorry. I know, like there's I don't dislike Outlaw Star, but I like Cowboy Bebop a whole lot better. I think One Piece has been a real part of my life for a lot of years now, and not necessarily the anime, but I do appreciate the anime a lot. Definitely the manga. Oh, the movies a lot too.
It's 2.
Okay. This is real hard. I don't know.
You said you thought about not Gundam Wing, so you technically didn't say
it's like it was really influential in getting me into anime, but I haven't really cared about watching it since then. Like Cowboy Bebop, I will watch anytime. One Piece, I still enjoy. Something else that stood the test of time.
Well, doesn't have. It could be something.
Fushigi-Yugi?
Something current.
No. Well, I didn't watch Fushigi-Yugi until just a couple years ago.
It could be something that you have. Yeah, something you watched recently.
Bonding experience for the both of us.
Something you revisited, like I don't know, maybe Rurouni Kenshin or
maybe something that was on Toonami,
a
like
Ghibli movie.
Do you like anime?
Yeah. Well, I told you my path into it was kind of non-traditional compared to everybody else.
Do you have a Ghibli movie you want to make a shout out to?
Well, I love Porco Rosso to death. I wonder, like maybe Perfect Blue, because that was something that I watched very early on. That I was like, holy shit, you can do that! Like that is you can make a movie like this and it's animated.
Oh man,
nice. Kate, why don't you also tell us what you're watching right now, or just recently finished?
Oh, let's see. Well, we're rewatching some older things right now. I just started watching Osamatsu-san after a couple people recommended it, and it's pretty random and silly, but it's kind of engaging. And now I don't know if I understand quite why everyone seems to be super into it, but it's pretty funny.
It's the Homestuck of anime.
Yeah.
Don't even go there. Don't.
Yeah, the Fujo somehow have differentiated 6 dudes that look exactly the same.
Yeah, no, I can't tell them apart.
That's where I draw the line.
The voice acting is fun. Like, I like that I recognize some of the characters. Like, oh, that one guy's Nozaki. Oh, the other guy is Zetsubo Sensei. So,
but it's impossible to have any anime that doesn't have Zetsubo Sensei in it.
Yeah. Well, like, I feel like I'm just not watching very much stuff right now. Like, I started watching 7 Deadly Sins, but I can't say that I'm enjoying it that much. I finished watching One Punch Man a while back, but that was super good. I can't wait for more of that. And Food Wars. I'm just waiting for those to come back. I feel like this current season of anime, there's not a lot out there for me.
Nice. So we're back from our break. We had to break open the second bottle of wine.
Yay!
And we will make mention of what we are drinking at the end of the episode. So stay tuned, folks.
Yeah, we'll give wine reviews.
I don't know about wine reviews. I
think it's okay to say, like, oh, yes, this was very nice. Or,
True.
oh, no,
I'm not exactly a wino and be like, oh, yeah, this was with the fine aromas. And yeah, no, I can't.
Well,
I'm
I don't know.
going to buy another case of Federalist.
It goes with everything.
It goes with my life.
Life wine.
Life wine. Yeah, well, actually, I think it'll be interesting. I doubt we'll ever get to be such discerning wine tasters that we can recommend which wine to go with which anime. But I don't see why we couldn't try.
Yeah.
It's really sad because I won't ever recommend a white.
That's okay.
We come in with a bias.
Well, that'll be interesting. So, like, red wine with dramas, white wine with comedies?
Never.
Like the chicken of anime.
But what will the rosé pair with, guys?
I don't know.
Whatever
Shit tier.
garbage. Whatever shit
comedy.
wife you have. Rosé, I feel like pairs with idol shows.
Oh, okay. So if it's
Except
Moe
Utapri.
with rosé.
Utapri is champagne straight. That's just champagne.
Classy.
Or Prosecco, because, you know.
God, if we ever end up doing a wine label, we might have to call it Moe Rosé. Let's call one of them at least. Okay, so Ed, it is your turn. How did you get introduced into this thing called anime, and what kept you in there?
And keep it brief, okay?
Burn.
The pressure is on.
Ed talks too much,
Brutal.
guys.
Well, For me, is my mom would every now and then show us when we were kids. My sister and I would show us the Miyazaki movies. So that was pretty much my first exposure. But of course, at the time, I just thought of it. Oh, this is like the Japanese equivalent of Disney, which it kind of is.
Yeah.
But it didn't, you wouldn't think of anime as like a separate. I don't know what you call it, genre or genre, like a media, an art form, right?
It was like, oh, this is animated, and I guess it's done from Japan. It looks really cool.
Right, and of course they were great movies, and I loved them a lot, but it wasn't until later on, kind of what other people have noted. Actually, I remember when Sailor Moon was first televised, it was a big deal. Like the local newspaper had it on the front page of their art section.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like, oh, this new stuff is coming in from Japan, and at the same
Japanimation.
Exactly, and like
God, that term.
It was around that same time that like Tamagotchi were too, right? So it was kind of
It was right before the advent of the Pokemans.
Yeah, Tamagotchi and Digimon around this rough, like Digimon like shortly after.
Well, Digimon happened after Pokemans.
Oh,
it was after Pokemon. Yeah,
thought
And
it had the
Yu-Gi-Oh!
same like little hand. Yu-Gi-Oh! God.
I'm just trying to figure out where troll dolls fit in the middle of this. Cause
Troll dolls were probably like I want to say 4 to 5 years before that.
Okay.
Maybe 6, because I remember in my strata of childhood, we had I had my Lady Lovelock dolls and my Moondreamers. I had trolls and the Sylvania family, and then I had X-Men. Like that was when the X-Men cartoon was on, and I was like, yes, that's my jam. And then I started doing like comic books really hardcore, and then the advent of Sailor Moon, and Sailor Moon was 1995 for me?
Oh, okay.
somewhere around there.
95.
Because then they would have that, and then Toonami came around, so it's more and more access as time went on, and then the local video rental store would have a couple things. I watched Oh My Goddess from there, the first Ghost in the Shell. But it wasn't until college, kind of like Kate mentioned, that there was much more stuff because of both internet sharing and then, of course, the anime clubs. So at that time, that was the first time I saw some of the stuff that had come out earlier, but I just never had access to before. So the Kenshins, the Cowboy Bebops, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
There was a period of time when, you asked how I kept into it, but I would say that there probably was a stretch of time kind of between college and probably, not that long ago when I wasn't actually watching that much stuff.
I mean, you were doing nothing with your life at that time. I feel like you had so much time on your hands.
You're just a wandering destitute all across the country, kind of like Forrest Gump, except not running.
Running all over the VA.
So, yeah, no, and then, I also thought, hey, is this a phase? Maybe I'm going to move on to other things. But then I was pretty much Madoka, I guess, when that came out. I said, no, I still love this stuff. And so I've kind of still kept in even to this time.
Nice. Hopefully you will remain in for this.
Keep bringing on good stuff.
Well, I think it helps too. Like, we're all, when you have a group of friends who's into the same stuff that you are, it helps keep you into it. Like, I was into video games as a kid, and then I fell out of it. And then in college, I became friends with a lot of people who were into video games, and that got me back into it. And then I was deeply into it for a long time. And then, we all graduated, people moved to different cities, and I sort of fell out of it again. So it really depends on, who do you hang with? What do you talk about with your friends? Like, if you talk about anime with your friends, you're probably going to keep watching anime.
Yeah, that was exactly it, because, after college, and then, people went on to do different things, and so that's precisely part.
And that whole, bubble bursting thing, I'm sure didn't help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Ed, name 3 anime titles at the top of your head that have stuck with you.
Well, kind of. Yeah, I mean, so Madoka is a big one, as I said, because partially because it was the one that kind of brought me back into the fold.
Nice.
I should say, but I mean, of course, it's just a great show all around. I mean, I guess Fate is kind of at the front of my mind right now.
Which one?
I'll put all of them. They seem to be sort of
the huge
multimedia they're project is inseparable in some ways.
So basically, Gundam. Fate is your Gundam.
There aren't quite as many series, but I mean, Unlimited Blade Works aired, but
Zero before it,
and Zero, and then they just announced that both Fate Extra is getting an anime. And then they finally announced that what they're going to do with the Heaven's Feel project, which they had announced for a while, but now it's going to be. There's like, it's 3 movies. It's coming in 2017. So
if you felt any earthquakes recently, that was Ed and I vibrating.
I was just remembering Eve's comment on Ed when he posted that.
It's like, that's a lot of feel.
A lot of feel. I was just like, hey, we're going to do this thing you're really interested in, and we're going to do it in the best possible ways. Like, yeah.
It's going to be the longest example of never put your dick in crazy.
That is, yeah, literally. Whoa. Fate, Heaven's Feel, never put your dick in crazy.
Because if I recall, like at that...
Sometimes Senpai should not notice you.
At that thing at AX, like it was just supposed to be one movie, right?
Actually, no, it was... Didn't they say it was going to be a movie?
They said that it was going to be a movie-style project.
Yeah. And they didn't say how many...
And they also did.
Well, I think everyone assumed it was going to be one movie. I distinctly remember.
I think everyone assumed it was going to be at least one. I think people were hoping for 2.
Well, I remember Diana saying they can't do it in one movie. Yeah, there has to be more.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to cut out a lot of stuff to fit into one movie.
I mean, they tried to do that with Unlimited Blade Works, and that was a laugh festival. Like Fate gets so much. So Fate has such a great idea, and then sometimes the studios that work with it will be like, this is this wonderful concept that we're just going to ruin completely.
Like Studio Dean.
Yeah, Eve. Studio Dean ruined Fate.
It's funny, we were just talking with a couple friends last night, and someone mentioned, and then this horrible anime studio were the ones who produced it. I was like, was it Studio Dean? And it was!
Although apparently they've done good stuff recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I guess they redeemed themselves.
They did Log Horizon Season 2, so...
They're perfectly good if they have the right budget and they have the right stuff going on. Mm-hmm. I think it's the direction team that's kind of the issue. But
yeah,
I mean they're no Tatsunoko production.
I guess the third thing that comes to mind right now is Bubblegum Crisis.
Cool.
All right.
Nice.
Classic. It kind of it has obviously the heavy Blade Runner influence, and but
where? I mean, her band is Prison the Replicants. I don't understand.
I was just thinking because they showed Blade Runner at one of the theaters recently.
Oh,
but
nice.
The other thing is that they announced a while ago that they were supposedly making a Bubblegum Crisis live-action movie.
Oh, really? In Japan?
No.
Here?
No.
In America?
God.
It was this
with white people?
Southeast Asian conglomerate of, I don't know. It sounded like it was probably going to be pretty bad.
It was going to be like, remember when they did a Tekken movie, but it was like a live action Tekken movie from Hong Kong, and it was just garbage?
Oh.
So King of Fighters.
They did.
Nothing that bad, Eve.
Because that was back in 2010 or 2009 that they announced it, and of course I have never heard of it since. Be stuck in development hell,
or maybe they just didn't do it.
Or they just realized it was a bad idea. And that's something that I kind of half wish would come back because it was great, but I also half wish that it never comes back because they probably will.
Well, that's like the point of this podcast, though, so we can go watch the original thing and be like, wow, no, this was really good, and then we don't have to watch it in some kind of new mutated form where it's like, oh, they got all of it wrong.
Like the Kenshin New Kyoto arc.
Well, Kenshin did really well, but I think they were basing the Bubblegum Crisis, and I think they were even thinking of Silent Mobius as well, but I think they used Pat Labor live action as a test, and it didn't really do that well.
God, did that even happen?
The Pat Labor movie, yeah.
I didn't hear anything. I've been waiting for that thing.
Yeah,
to
I
come
think
out
a lot of
for
stuff,
while.
unless it makes it big in wherever it ends up being released, we don't necessarily hear about it. I've been surprised at some of the stuff that comes up on the live action section of Crunchyroll, things I didn't even know existed.
Oh my god, I really enjoyed the Library Wars movie series and the comic for that, but like Pat Labor, my uncle worked on the 1/1 scale, like the robot that they built. They built a 1/1 scale Pat Labor.
Whoa!
And then they shipped it on a boat to Asia. And then I never heard of it again.
Aw.
And I was like, that was so cool. What did they do? How was the movie? Pat Labor's kind of weird, though. Pat Labor is not...
It's got a niche market.
It's not something I would choose for my foray into giant robot live action. Like, it's kind of boring.
Yeah, isn't it kind of slice of life, giant robot police?
I mean, it's not Planetes, which would be amazing.
Because isn't that the one about garbage men in space?
It's the garbage man slice of life in space.
Yeah. I watched a couple episodes of that. It was actually pretty interesting.
It's excellent. Planetes is so good.
Nice.
But
I should look that one up again.
Sorry. You were saying, Ed.
Tangent.
So, Ed, what's something you recently either finished watching or started watching? Or in the middle of watching?
Yeah, so the recent Lupin series, which is what, the 4th television series?
That's what they call it.
I guess.
I feel like there's been more than 4, but I could just be wrong.
A ton of movies.
Yeah.
Lupin the 4th?
And
But ching.
Dad joke.
I think it is the 4th TV series. I think. I could be wrong.
Are they counting Fujiko?
I don't think they count
No, Fujiko's
Fujiko.
her own.
Just because it's titled differently.
Oh, okay.
So that's already finished, but I'm now catching up to it. But I kind of agree that this recent season just hasn't had that much interesting to watch.
Yeah, I guess maybe the Japanese anime season thing, which I feel like is a relatively new phenomenon to America. Like normally in the past, we never felt like there were seasons. It would just be like, oh, hey, this anime's out and now it's out here.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh, this is the current crop of anime and here's next season's crop of anime.
Yeah.
So
they're
it's
using us as forecasting.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the reasons why Crunchyroll was able to get a lot of the streaming. The streaming
Yeah.
is basically companies who might help to sponsor the rights to stream. Those are different than the rights to release.
Yeah, I've been seeing that with Seven Deadly Sins because Netflix bought exclusive streaming rights, but Aniplex has release rights.
Right. Yeah.
For DVDs and whatnot.
And so with something like that, I think, which I think is awesome for that. Like, I think it's a really great way to test your market. I think shows like Nozaki and Hozuki and things like that.
Well, I hope it means that like like stuff that's a safe bet in Japan is not necessarily going to play well in America. And I'm hoping that the stuff that is playing well in America that's got a little bit more unique aspects to it, like Hozuki and Nozaki
and Madoka.
Madoka was also huge in Japan, so I wouldn't necessarily count that. Like stuff that's really popular in America that Japan is like, oh, we are surprised that it is this popular, but maybe they'll take that to heart and make more unique series like that. But anyway, I'm kind of wondering now if the whole anime seasons is becoming more like movie seasons in America, where you get the blockbusters in the summer and you get dramas in winter and you get some dull periods like in the fall after blockbuster season has died down, and in January after all of the Oscar bait movies have already been released. There's kind of a lull where there isn't really anything good out. So maybe anime goes through similar kinds of seasons, and now we're just seeing that for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a biased view, but a lot of the series that we were talking about, we were excited about, are coming out in the summer. Or soon. So, I mean, Food Wars is coming back.
Soon. Really soon, yeah?
Yeah.
Pretty soon. Well, I don't think it has an exact date yet, but that's...
It's like
JoJo's
tentative
starts.
summer.
JoJo's coming very soon.
Oh, so
I'm
excited.
happy that Viz picked up the dub and sub rights to that. So, because like Warner released JoJo's just with dub only, and a lot of people who reviewed on Right Stuff were like, "Where's the subs?"
Wow, that's a really
that seems so tone deaf. It's like now they should have the American market just clocked.
Yeah.
But like releasing something dub only is really silly.
Yeah, it was also just like a little test run just to see if people bought it, and then
test run.
Yeah, it seems silly. Like there's so much information out there, so much prior experience, and then they make kind of a rookie mistake.
I should see if
I've
it's
worked with Warner before, and they're kind of dumb. I know. I mean this in the nicest way possible.
But they dumb.
They so dumb. They so dumb.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I know Viz is super excited to to get this out.
Well, and at least like we know that
they know what it is, and they'll
know they'll be able to treat it right.
Yeah. So, well, I guess it's my turn then.
Himself another glass of wine.
Yeah, just let me refill some liquid courage, talk about stuff in my past life.
Reminiscing.
For things long ago. Long ago, as of 3 years ago. No. Not even.
Yeah, how long have you been into anime?
Quite a long time. I want to say it's similar to kind of what you guys are saying. Like, I've heard of Sailor Moon, but I guess more excited when like Dragon Ball Z was getting released. So I guess our local affiliate, what was it, like KCAL, I think, was airing Dragon Ball at like 6:30 in the morning or 7:30 on Saturdays.
Would you wake up and watch that?
I woke up and watched that. Actually, I spent the weekend it was coming out over at my cousin's place. Like, I had my parents drop us off there because we would, spend that time over the summer and watching the first, Saiyan arc of Dragon Ball.
Were you like me, where you learned how to use the record features on your VCR so that you could record anime?
No, my cousin did, so he was able to do that later. But yeah, we watched it that way. So my brother were watching, and we didn't even know it was actually anime at the time. It's like, this show looks awesome. Whoa, look at the things go all explode and all the muscles. Wow, I like it.
I think when you don't know that it's anime, like, Voltron is technically anime, but I didn't know
Transformers
it was
is technically anime.
Yeah. But when you don't know that's what it is.
Yeah, I think it was watching that and realizing this came from Japan and seeing that it was pretty much complete by the time it came out to America. It was like, oh, there's even more. Oh, I want to know more about it. And I want to say it was a mix of what you guys talked about with Toonami, with the whole Gundam and Tenchi, and I'm trying to remember what else was there in the Toonami block, because there was like 3 or 4 shows, and a couple of them I didn't watch. Besides like Gundam, like Gundam Wing. I do remember Tenchi, a couple other things. It's been a while since I watched
I have a lot of the promos from that period because there was a Toonami like fan site, and they would screen cap and post like videos of all of the like the little blurbs, like the commercials for Toonami, basically, and like promos for Toonami, and they all had really cool music and cool animation. And I was taking an animation class, and I was like, I want to keep all these. So I downloaded a bunch of them. I
think what got me more into it, besides that, was years ago, like a long time. I think around the time that Toonami started, it might have been the same year. I'm thinking it might have been. Sci-Fi Channel had their summer of anime movie weekend thing.
They used to have Saturday morning cartoons, but it was like
anime.
They did a weekend where it was like nighttime. Well, not nighttime, but it was from 4 to whatever they were showing anime movies. And one of the first ones I watched was like Iria Zero in the animation.
I remember watching. And I
saw, I was like, what is this? This is amazing. This looks fantastic.
Like late night. It had
something like that. Yeah, and that was at the time when I didn't know what the stuff was called, because one of my cousins, who was also getting into anime around the same time, called it anime. Because that's how it's spelled to him. It's like Anime.
No.
There was a store near where we lived called Anime Plus. We called Anime Plus because I had no idea.
Oh my god, Anime Plus.
Yep.
Oh my god. That was a direct competitor.
Until I watched the Sci-Fi thing. I was like, oh, it's called Anime. It's not Anime. All right.
Well, do you remember that? There was like a video mailing club. Like they had an infomercial where you could sign up and they would send you a different anime movie per month, like on VHS. It was like straight up a regular infomercial with like the blue screen at the end, like this is the number that you call, and it was a monthly anime club.
It was to get,
and they would send you
Akira.
Yeah, they would send you Akira first.
Yeah,
and then like a different new one every month.
Yeah, so I was watching things like that, like Iria was one. I remember watching Green Legend Ron, the Fatal Fury movies, Galaxy Express movies, and I think I got to watch that.
Gosh.
For they did that, at least I saw that 2 years, like 1 year, and then it came on again. It's like, oh, it's back, I can't wait to watch this for this weekend. And then I never heard from her again. And that was around the time that, I want to say like late 90s, early aughts, where stuff started, DVD was replacing VHS. So I was, I never got into buying a lot of anime on VHS besides the bootleg Dragon Ball movies, because there were so many actual Dragon Ball things out there. But it was forever for us to even get to that point where like more of the movies hit and everything. So I guess that's how I got started. And I think what kept me into it was it was a mix of two things. It was I want to say like either late high school, finishing high school. It was before college for sure. When I was at my part-time job, working with more coworkers who were also into anime because my classmates weren't into it at all. I think like 2 people liked Dragon Ball Z, and one of them was into Pokemon because of his little brother. So, but yeah, watching, getting more into anime that way, learning about Ranma Half, and someone letting me borrow their VHS copies of Escaflowne, and that same year deciding to go to Anime Expo for the first time.
That person was a saint.
Yeah, she was great. I think I could have been in a similar boat to Ed, where I might have like gotten out of the whole anime thing if I didn't start going to conventions and having a grand old time with that, and then B, getting into doing like cosplay like years after I started going into conventions, because that probably made me want to keep going still even more. It's like I'm having a different side of fun doing cosplay at conventions and getting to learn more about anime that way, because you're like, oh hey, I like your costume, blah blah blah, things like that, and getting to do small talks like, have you ever checked out this show? No, I haven't. I'll go check that out. Or seeing what costume is this from that looks really cool and elaborate, and I want to know more about the thing that you are cosplaying from.
I feel like anime is like the starter crack for the attention seeking like cosplay person,
fan art person.
Like you start with the
fiction
anime
person.
and then you're like, wait a minute, how can I show people how much I like anime?
And I can't fit 30 people. I can't fit 30 people in my room with all my collectibles.
Oh god, no! Someone might knock into my Sephiroth statue. Christ.
Someone might steal one of my DVDs many DVDs that I own. I would rather show
I feel
them
like
this way.
anime and like being a fan of something really strongly helps get you out of your shell too, because I am not attention seeking. I'm pretty introverted and I have a hard time talking to people I don't know already. But going to a con and talking to people who I know are interested in the same thing as me makes it an easier conversation starter.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I don't have that problem.
Yeah, I know you don't.
I'm sorry.
Can't tell at all.
No, you're right. It's a fucking mystery.
More wine, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What comes next? 3. So
Yeah, what are you into?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Three
All
shows
right,
that you
I guess already mentioned of them. So we'll go Iria with being like the one of the first movie things I've watched. Ranma Half because
Ranma.
Fucking love Ranma. Ranma's amazing.
God, thank you again for those movies. I'm
welcome.
so excited. I can't wait to sit down.
I think
and watch
Ranma Half might have been like the first anime that I watched was like, this is like a Saturday morning cartoon where the episodes are pretty standalone and resolve themselves and not have to worry about like being sure to tune in week after week after week to make sure I catch everything, and just like I could pop in a random disc, and that's also one of the few shows I will eternally love watching either subbed or dubbed. Like I'm okay with
they're both
that
good.
way.
Oh.
Yeah, I like Cowboy Bebop for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And third one, Vision of Escaflowne. That's
High five.
Yeah, now I'm wondering.
good.
Escaflowne is so good, and I know it's not one of the first anime that I ever saw, but I did see it at some point, and I'm like, but it is really good.
Yeah.
Like, when did I see that?
I have
the
lots
first
of
time?
honorable mentions, but we only said 3. I only said
Yeah.
3, so I can't.
Say the honorable
Yeah, honorable
Yeah.
mentions some other time.
The
Psh, we'll watch these honorable mentions on this podcast. Shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to wax poetic about Escaflowne.
Yeah,
But,
see,
I mean,
I know-
I really do.
You
but
have a lot
I'll
of
say that
feels.
I have so many feelings. I'm like,
Yeah, wait till we actually watch it, then you can have all the feels.
we might have to
no,
do
it'll be
more
really
than.
awkward when I cry.
No, we might have to do more than how many discs there are allowed for the podcast
Oh,
episode
We just
because
watch the whole show.
because
and
it's
then we
gonna
can watch the movie and I can get angry.
because it'll
I've
be like
never
a,
seen the movie.
It'll be a lot
That's
of
good. You're better that way. Don't watch it with us.
it'll be a lot of pre stuff of like how I did, and then like, oh, we've been recording for 2 hours. We haven't even talked about the first episodes yet, so we'll come back next episode. I have a feeling that's what it's going to be for that particular show.
So I hope you guys like Escaflowne too.
Yeah.
So let's see. Something that I've recently watched. Kate already mentioned Seven Deadly Sins. Yeah, I agree that it's not really that great, but it is interesting. It actually intrigued me enough that I started reading it because it's available on Crunchyroll, and you could read, I guess, like a legal scanslation that way on their manga app on your phone,
Which, by the way, just to throw it out there as a brief disclaimer, all of us have, for the most part, at one point or another, downloaded stuff that was unavailable. Like, there was no license for it, or it was, something that was releasing and had no plans. With all the simulcasting and all the other licensing that's going on as things are announced, like even before they come out in America or in Japan, they're announcing partnerships and things now. There's no excuse for you to illegally download anime at this point.
It's so easy.
The legal options are really high quality too. Like there have been shows where I actively stopped watching it and disliked it because the fan subbing was so poorly done and I disagreed with their choices.
Yeah, I think we all remember those days of buying the HK bootlegs from other anime stores.
But again, that's also a thing of like, for the first, I want to say like 2.5 seasons of Naruto, we had no other alternative.
Nope.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have the Blu-ray, or excuse me, the DVDs available readily. And so you could get this other really shit quality, like, garbage tier stuff. But
with the bad names. With
God.
One Piece and the bad names.
Yeah, Sunkissed and Liar Booth.
Liar Booth, Straw Hat,
Monk D. Roof.
It was Monk? I thought mine had Monch.
Oh, no.
Monch.
I think it switched between Monch D. Roof and Monk D. Roof.
There's also the Kenshin subs where they just put fucking like.
Oh my god! I'm pretty sure there's no swearing in Kenshin. Oh no!
They drop like.
I borrowed my cousin's Yu Yu Hakusho like HK bootleg DVDs.
Oh, that one is intense.
They swapped Kurama and Hiei's names.
Oh no!
So like Hiei and it's Kurama talking. I'm just like, what the? No, but
So basically,
God.
what I'm trying to say is, at this point, like a friend of mine put something up about like reading Bleach, and then linked to an illegal place to read Bleach, and I'm like, you meant weeklyshonenjump.com. That's what you meant, right? Because there's no excuse at this point. There's so and when you do this, you're literally investing in something that we all love so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think everyone can probably see these days that like the amount of anime that's coming out, the amount of safe bet anime that's coming out, where they're not willing to take risks because they don't have the leeway anymore. Like anime is the profits have become such a razor thin margin that it's hard for the industry to keep functioning. It's hard for animators in Japan to pay their bills and feed themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you are, enjoying anime, if
get
you're
a
willing
Crunchyroll
to,
account, get a Hulu account, get a Funimation account.
Yeah, because the money that you spend is actually going towards
the funny thing too
animators.
is those three that Dana mentioned. I would like to make special mention of those because they have free accounts. Like yes, you'll have to watch ads, but they are completely free and legal, and creators get something from it.
Yeah, they do actually trickle down back to the animation companies in Japan, and they show people what everybody on an international scale is interested in. I mean, at this point, anime is being made not just for Japan.
Yeah, so this way you can show what you are enjoying watching and reading, and they can take that into account and make more stuff that you might actually enjoy watching and reading instead of stuff that's super derivative.
Especially if you post about it on social media. You're like, I'm watching this, and here's the link for it on one of those accounts. It's like,
and also,
they love you for that.
Don't be that garbage person who goes on to the Aniplex website and complains about the price of the Aniplex stuff. Don't be that shitbag.
No, it's like everyone knows it's expensive.
You can complain to us. It's okay. We drink wine and we'll rant with you.
Exactly. But you know what? We also remember a time when it was, $40 for a subtitled tape, and it wasn't even the whole thing, and it was on VHS. And you can all shut up, because honestly, the shit that Aniplex is giving you is worth the money that you're spending on it. It's gorgeous. They do the best possible shit that they can.
If you don't want to spend the money to buy it's also available streaming. You can enjoy
Netflix.
it.
Dude, there's so much on Netflix, too.
I also forgot about Daisuke.
Oh, yeah.
Granted, Daisuke doesn't have a mobile app yet. I think it's still
not that I did.
Okay.
No, I had the app on my iPad for a while, and
they're partnered with Hulu as well, I thought.
Oh,
kind
okay.
of. Daisuke. Some of Daisuke's content does appear on Hulu.
Regardless, there's no excuse to illegally download stuff at this point. It's readily available.
I'm sure you have
for fractions of the cost that it cost people who were initially getting into it back in the day.
I'm sure you have a friend who has a Netflix account who is willing to lend it to you.
If you're not convinced, like, go watch Shirobako. It's an amazing anime about the process of making anime. And if you watch that and you think like, oh, these people are making minimum wage and they can barely afford to eat, like, hey, maybe watching that might convince you to toss a couple bucks on a DVD or a streaming service, because
it will get back to them.
Yeah.
So that is also part of this podcast mission statement. Like, we're all going to be rewatching some anime here and there. Well, most of the time, that's what this podcast is going to be about. Rewatching anime that we all have purchased at one point or another, or at least can borrow from somebody who has purchased it. We're going by North American releases.
Everything is going to be legit.
We also want to go into a little bit of the special features you might miss out by just streaming only.
The crazy stuff that ends up on the DVD.
God, dub bloopers? Oh, I didn't know that was a thing until a while back.
Bloopers on Kenshin were the best dub bloopers. They were the best. God bless you, Steve Bloom.
Because that was Anime Works or Media Blasters.
Media Blasters was like, we have all this content, and
Media Blasters like loved putting extras on there
because it was a bunch of people who just actually enjoyed what they were doing, and and they had such great people they were working with to dub it too, like really fun, interesting voice actors. So they really tried their best. I feel like Media Blasters is one of those companies that was like, fans will appreciate even the little things. Even the little things. So they, you got your opening and ending that was clean. You got like a full track of the song, but you also got like the bloopers and some cool art stuff. And it was, I really enjoyed the effort that they made. I'm sad that company's gone. I'm really sad it's gone, actually. They did Magic Users Club.
So like, we're going to be talking about things like that. We'll be posting a lot about places where you can purchase the shows that you've been watching, or with a lot of these rescues, where you can pre-order said show eventually.
Yeah, or if it's available streaming, because a lot of fairly retro stuff has been coming back.
Which is awesome.
Bless you, Sentai. Even though not Sentai Filmworks has rescued a bunch of older shows too, though.
Are they the ones who did Flame of Recca?
Yeah, they did Flame of Recca.
Is that why it's on Crunchyroll now?
That's why it's on Crunchyroll.
Oh, wow. Why would anybody resurrect that?
Hey, I think it was pretty popular.
You do know that we're going to eventually watch that.
Yeah.
Eventually is a key word.
I promise you I'll win.
Stop it in the middle of the story.
Rekka's not as bad as, what is it? Au Senki? It was the one by, I think it was the Yu Hakusho guy before he did Hunter x Hunter.
Oh no, that's something else. Au Senki's like the hentai, like people from history as cute girls.
Yeah, no, that's what that is.
We'll make mention right now. We are not watching hentai for this podcast.
No, we actually should. We should have a late night one where we watch no. Because the only reason I say so is because there's some stuff that just gets thrown into the hentai bus that's actually like worth watching because. It's just
it's like graphic sex scenes, but I'm sure the plot is really great.
We'll see what happens.
There's like 2.
If we need to do a fundraiser, maybe or something.
Yeah, there was one that was done by the studio that did Photon, and it was so good, and I can't remember what it was called.
Jesus.
God, it was amazing.
I don't know who's going to want to listen to other people watching hentai
porn. Oh my God. We're not going to watch it and talk about it. We're going to tell you about it after the fact and be like, but I can't believe how many balls she fit in her. With wine. Oh, it's so much fun.
It's going to be a fun podcast.
Jesus.
So I'm hoping,
Blue Girl is a classic.
There we go.
I'm hoping that this intro episode will intrigue you guys to come back for more, because there's going to be a lot of fun times with wine.
More content, less tangents. Hopefully,
that's a
less
lie.
Tangents.
Everybody's going to come back to hear me get shit faced and talk about my feelings.
With all the wine that we have, there's going to be many, many more tangents. We all know this.
Should we talk about which wines we're having?
No, that's going to happen at the end. I told you at the end.
I felt like we were getting towards the end.
No, we have to do sign-offs, and then that stuff will happen.
Oh no, they all know who we are now.
So, all right. We don't have a website yet, but You can listen to more. You can listen to more of these podcasts if you subscribe to our feed. We have one on Libsyn if you want to put it anywhere that's not iTunes or Stitcher. That way, otherwise go to Vintage Anime Club podcast or Vintage Anime Club rather, just on Libsyn. That way.
Hopefully, if you just Google Vintage Anime Club, our relevant information will come up.
Yeah, it will show up. Ed, do you want to mention how people can get in touch with you? If you want to put out your Twitter handle or not?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, good luck.
Yo,
with
wait,
that.
why are we doing this?
Because people want to converse. That's what happens on podcasts.
Now I say oh geez because my Twitter handle is approximately 20,000 characters long.
That's okay. Just say it and
Ever remembers it.
Just tweet
say it. You
at
don't have
me,
to spell it.
and then I'll direct you to Ed because I have only 6 letters.
It'll get put on the website, I'm sure.
Yes, I will.
It's Ippen no Kuinashi,
All right.
which is a line from Fist of the North Star. I don't even remember why I picked that.
That was a great show too.
I should probably change my Twitter handle to something more easily.
We'll see what happens.
Easily spelled.
We'll see what happens. The website will get updated with any Twitter name changes. Kate, where can people contact
Taiko-chan
All right.
on Twitter.
you? Yay. Tana.
You can find me on Facebook at Vegeta Balls Cosplay, BEJITABALLZ Cosplay.
You can still talk to her about anime that way too.
And the best way to talk to me about anime, probably though, is on Twitter, which is at Binksy, BINKXY.
And Eve, where can people contact you?
Never.
Do you want to talk about trash?
If you want to go to the garbage, the compost heap.
Garbage Gundam.
The Garbage Gundam and sports trash.
Basically. Oh, I'm so down for that ice skating anime though.
There's an ice skating anime?
It's coming soon, and I'm getting it on the ground floor of that.
Wow.
Looks like the main character looks like Yuzuru Hanyu.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Called Yuri on the Ice, but there's no lesbians.
Is there,
No,
just
it's Yuri on the Ice because that's a very common.
where are you guys hearing about this?
It's like a new thing. They just
Everywhere.
well,
I
it
just
was
saw that now.
so it was just anime.
Need more sports anime friends, then you'll
Japan.
see it.
The
the
Japanese equivalent of Anime Expo, literally, where all the companies come out and they talk about their stuff that's coming out.
I guess I have to read the anime news.
Seasons. Yeah,
I've only been reading the regular news lately.
and they're talking about all the things that are coming in. That's how we know about the announcements for Fate. But they're doing a figure skating anime, and I was a figure
And
skater.
a male cheerleader one.
And
Oh, nice.
that
This is, like,
sounds-
based
is it an
on-
Oendon?
Wait,
Going
what?
on?
What?
No.
Oh,
Completely different.
No,
You
I
can
will
tell who
wait
plays a
for an
video game.
Oendon anime.
Eve, where can people find you on Twitter?
Oh, yeah.
Not figure skating.
Well, maybe. Okay. On Facebook, Evil, EVEIL, and then Twitter, Eve_IL.
Yay. You can find me at ItchNob on Twitter. And then for our actual podcast, once you get the website, it'll be up later. But for now, you can also go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Vintage Anime Club. And Vintage Anime Club is too many letters on Twitter, so it's Vintage Anime Pod that way. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you everyone here who has joined us. Until next time, guys, glasses up. Kanpai!
Bye.
Today's wines were brought to us by Kate and Dennis. One is the Triada Malbec. The Triada Malbec promises you the combination of 3 strong natural elements which converge into a very unique one, containing the best features of each part. Soil, sun, and vineyards provide the best of these elements to create this uniquely gifted wine. We drank a lot of it. It tasted really, really good.
It is a Malbec from Argentina.
What's the vintage
Yes.
year?
Sure.
2014.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good.
It's this delicious glass of smooth, juicy pleasure.
Yeah, why did you skip the
the
second
best
paragraph?
wine?
That was the best part of it.
I didn't want to say juicy.
And what's the,
Juicy na niku.
what's the second bottle?
The second bottle that we are gradually making our way through this evening is a Chalice Lane. It's an old vine Zinfandel from 2012 in California. The wine style. This smooth and fruity old vine Zinfandel tastes really great when you pour it into a glass directly after drinking Triada Malbec. Rather than be snooty wine people, we just drink the shit out of reds because Diana's picky and doesn't like anything that's white. Thank you for joining us this evening. See you next time.